Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Elevate interview. I'm here today with my man, Tony Dolzal. He's been one of our members here for a little over a year now. And so I'm just here to interview him. He actually came to our event at the House of Steel, the last event of 2023 in October. So he came to that, but I'm going to ask him a few questions here today just about his overall experience in Elevate and leading up to the event, and then just how his experience went at the event. So, Tony, welcome in, and what's up, brother?
Yeah, not much. Great to see you, Paden. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, dude. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. Pumped to dive into just this interview overall. So, I mean, first question, man, just tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your background, and, ultimately why you came to join Elevate.
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, my name's Tony. I am 45 years old. I'm a stay-at-home dad for three girls. Played, kind of a guy's guy. Played sports my whole life. Love sports. Love the outdoors. Lots of working out. Traditional sports guy. Baseball, basketball, football. Played all through my youth. Played football in college. So, been working out regularly for a long, long time. But yeah, coming across Elevate was it was an interesting journey for me, and it all came because of Twitter. And I was on there. I had a Twitter account probably back in 2016 or even sooner, but it was more for win tickets to a Cubs game, send a tweet in to WGN News, that sort of thing. So I wasn't utilizing it for anything. And I wasn't much of a social media guy. I didn't have a Facebook page. I wasn't going to tweet anything along those lines.
Right.
But 2 years ago, I joined Zach Hamill's men's group, and that whole section of fitness Twitter, and started to get to know some of the people there. And that's where I came across Matt Moore, and was following a lot of what he did. So as he started to grow his presence with Elevate and what was going on, I said, you know what? This seems like a good place to go, network with like-minded people. And I didn't really know what to expect. I was just getting in there to get to know guys because I like I was saying, I knew of Matt. I saw some of the stuff Austin was putting out there, and it all meshed with the direction that I was going, and that I to the goals I wanted to match. So once I got involved, the biggest thing that jumped out at me was the Bible study and the Wednesday night Bible study, and just getting on there. I had never done a Bible study in my life. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, so we did theology class, but not a specific Bible study with people that were similar to me, similar mindset, similar goals, looking for personal growth, and being able to put all those things together with the Word of God. So once I got involved with that, I started to get to know some of the guys that were a part of Elevate or are a part of Elevate, and started to like it. So I got more involved with the other things, the challenges, the daily chat, motivating each other. And, that led us to some other places, which I'm sure we're going to discuss as we move forward here. But yeah, it's been great, and I've made new friends, great influences. It's been a fantastic experience.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And you mentioned just the online community before you joined. You saw Matt, and saw a little bit from Austin as well, just about Elevate. It was this online community of men, like-minded. Like the online community itself, just that whole business model, it's so new, just compared to where it's going to go in the future. And a lot of people are kind of skeptical over it, especially like Elevate being a faith-related community. Did you have any worries going into it?
I personally didn't have worries because I had some experience with other groups, and my experience was positive. And I felt like I had a good feel for the type of person Matt is going into it. Plus, he took the time and sat down and had a call with me to just discuss what some of the or address some of the questions that I did have.
Yeah.
You know, what were his goals with the Elevate? What was he trying to accomplish? What kind of community was he putting together? And all of his answers were right in line with exactly the type of thing I was looking for, and that is a community of men who were focused on faith, self improvement, you know, things like personal responsibility, things that are lacking, in my opinion, lacking in today's society that causes a lot of the problems that we're seeing. You know, a whole kind of victim mentality that we see in today's culture. There's none of that here. This is, hey, let's move forward. Let's be good people. Let's prop each other up. A community of men supporting each other, which is something that didn't exist when I was growing up. When I got to high school, when I got to college, you didn't have that sort of support group. Maybe on your sports teams, you had that camaraderie and that brotherhood, but outside of that, you didn't. You know, men basically didn't have emotions or feelings. You just dealt with stuff and stuffed your emotions and dealt with it generally in negative ways.
Yeah.
Right. But being there to help each other and support each other was a huge component of Elevate that drew me towards it.
100%. Yeah, I get that a lot from a lot of our members. You know, a lot of them, they grew up playing sports and having a community around them, some kind of team of sorts. And that's kind of, what they relate this to. They're like, this is exactly like a team. This is what I need. And so I hear that so much inside the community, just in how needed it is. So, I mean, that's huge, man. And you said, you got on the call with Matt, and he was just explaining his vision with it and just how it was exactly what you were looking for. Just the overall type of man that you were looking for out of a brotherhood, out of a friendship. And if you look at just the leaders of the community, myself, Matt, Austin, we're an exact representation of just that growth mindset, having faith at the forefront, not having that victim mindset. When the leaders are like that, everyone else in the community is going to be the same. So just kind of wanted to point out that with that being said, like everyone in the community has that same mindset. And if they don't, they're not really a good fit, but just wanted to point that out. So you mentioned Bible study just a minute ago, which you're regular on, of course. Just wanted to kind of get your experience in that and how like the Bible studies and the weekly calls have impacted you.
So the biggest part of the Bible study for me was from the second I walked into my first session, I felt welcome. And I felt like I could express any thoughts that I had based on the readings, any concerns. We discussed questions of our faith that we have. And what's really interesting is at the study, we have a handful of guys who are at different places in their faith journey. So you have someone like Antonio who's doing the Saturday studies, who is like way up here when it comes to his knowledge of the Bible and, the historical meaning of a lot of the readings and what's going on. Then you have someone like me who's kind of in the middle. I'm not big on the readings, but my faith journey and prayer is right here. So I'm learning. Then we have some guys in there who, I mean, they're on their way to being baptized at this point. So it's cool. You get different perspectives and different questions that really open up. And like I said, feeling welcome from the jump was the biggest thing, because if you go into a session like that where you don't feel like you can express your views, your concerns, your questions, then what use is it? It's no good. But every Bible study has been that way. It's fantastic. So I would say it's been an absolutely great experience.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. That's great to hear. And most people, as I mentioned earlier, like they could come into an online community with a little bit of fear, a little bit of, I guess, skepticism, not wanting to share. Um, but I mean, how you've described these Bible studies is that you just come into them and you feel safe. You feel like you're able to share, no matter, what level of expertise you have in the Bible, I guess you could say, or just, I mean, overall, because it's a bunch of guys that you met on the internet. Why do you think that safe space is there?
I would say because, it's not just going to the Bible study once a week. It's all of the chat rooms that we have on Discord that we're going through, where people are, whether it's people just type in GM in there, good morning, everyone's there. You see guys up early getting after it. Let's have our routine. Let's share our goals. We have guys sharing wins every week. We have guys doing videos of their workouts. And it's not all workout and faith related. It's across the board for life. So with, those of us with kids, we share some of the challenges and some of the wins, some of the things that we overcome with that. And by doing that every day and interacting, it helps you grow in feeling confident that you are okay sharing some of your issues on there. And I get it if people don't feel 100% comfortable right off the bat. I would say that's common sense. But at least for me, I had been exposed to so much of what a handful of people from Elevate were doing via Twitter early on. And then after the conversation with Matt, which I had referenced, it had put some of those fears to rest. My comfort within the group has continued to grow in an upward trajectory from the beginning for a number of reasons. And then, I don't want to say it culminated because it's not done yet, but going to House of Steel, which we'll talk about, that was a huge point in feeling like a real member of the group.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. I love that you mentioned just all the different aspects of the guys sharing in the community. You got pictures and videos that they share, different messages in all the channels. Going back to the question that I asked just about the safe space, like I think it starts just with the vulnerability, and especially like now we have kickoff calls. As soon as a member joins the community, you get 4 different calls with me, Matt, and then our community manager and our health coach. And that on all 4 of those calls, it's just such a great safe space, and we lead with vulnerability. We tell all the members about who we are, and we really just look for that connection. And then you go into the community itself, you go into Elevate, and like you mentioned, like you get to see so many different aspects of the members' lives, just because guys are constantly sharing prayer requests, what they're grateful for, videos about their training or just about their everyday life. And then to top it off, you get to see them on the voice calls where, you actually get to see their face and talk to them. And then they share perspectives on whether it's a Bible or if we're, talking about nutrition. All these aspects combined, it makes it feel like you truly know the members, even though it's an online community, because all of it adds up, and you begin to form these pictures of who these men are. So I just kind of wanted to highlight everything that you said.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Paden, that vulnerability comes from the top down. So when I was starting, seeing the leadership be vulnerable just set the precedent for what the expectations are, what the group is all about when it comes to being able to share those challenges and those wins. And a great example of that was I went through a time this summer was kind of tough. I tore my quad, and was dealing with the gout. It was like 3 months of it, and just mentally it makes it a little tougher. So I'd gotten out of touch a little bit with interacting with the group, and that's when you reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we get on a call, talk about what's going on, how I can help you utilize the different options that we have here within Elevate. And it was an awesome call. And it got me like, it was like, bam, like get back on track, start moving forward and back into my routines and being around the brothers more, because it's natural for us when we're going through struggles just to shut down into our own shell, like a big defense mechanism where you push away the people close to you so that, because you feel, all the bad emotions, you feel shame, you feel down, you feel sad, all those things. So you don't want to show those emotions to everyone else, when the reality is that's when you should be leaning into your friends, your family, the groups, the positive groups that you're a part of. And that's another huge thing that groups like Elevate help with. So yeah. That's great.
Absolutely, dude. I totally agree with you. I feel like all men do that. We let our egos get in the way and we say, we can handle this on our own, no matter what or how great the struggle is, what we're going through. We internalize it and we just try to handle it on ourselves on our own, which really never works and it never turns out for good. God gave us community and brothers around us for a reason, so we can lean into them. So, how did Elevate help you out during that time? You said you tore your quad. You were kind of going through a little bit of a rough patch. How did we help you out during that time?
I would say it's really about just being back and engaged with people, and then feeling like it's all right to not be perfect. It's all right to not be 100% go, on top of the game all the time, right? We all have challenges. We all have pitfalls. And that's another beauty about the community, is that you can reach out when you need help, and there are people that are going to help you there. And then on the flip side, you can be a hype man. I love being a hype man. You guys know, from Cleveland, like getting in there, yelling and screaming, boosting people up. And you can have both roles within the community for when you need it. Hopefully you're going to be, the guy helping people out more often than not, because that's the goal. That's what we're trying to grow towards, to be strong. But we're all going to have down times. We're all going to have challenges, and you can do both within the community. You can get the support you need, and you can give that support when someone else needs it. And that's what being a man is all about.
Absolutely. That's huge. I think it goes back to the quote that we say all the time inside of Elevate, and it's iron sharpens iron. And with what you just said, like sometimes you're the guy who's sharpening the other guy. Sometimes you're the one who's being sharpened by the men. Sometimes you're the one that's being lifted up. And there's so many guys inside of it going through different seasons. Some may be in the valley, some may be in the mountains, but we're all growing simultaneously and making sure that we're growing together. And so there's always an opportunity to help others grow, to sharpen the men, and then also to be sharpened by the other guys. So I love that you say that.
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. It hits the nail on the head right there. Yeah. Because, being one of the senior members of Elevate, there's things at the age of 45 that I can't do the same as when I was 23, 24. People are at different parts in their journey, but having everyone around, that's the beauty of having people at different points, is that everyone can contribute something different, and you can pull out of it what you need.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So, with you being in the community for over a year now, what have you pulled out of it? How has Elevate helped you grow overall? In what ways has Elevate helped you grow?
I would say it's helped me grow most in my faith, for one, because another part of it is we have we have all these guys from different denominations of Christianity, and I'm a Catholic, and Catholics are kind of like, we're different, and we don't always accept all the different denominations, at least in general. But it's opened my eyes to different ways to look at faith and look at prayer, and in line with the faith and with life. It's helped me really focus on my routine, like do the little steps, build the little steps to get to the bigger goal. And that's been a big part of it, just every day. And I think the challenges that we put out every week help with that. Some of them, depending on where you are on your, in your growth, whether it's faith, life, fitness, some of them you might be like, oh, this is super easy, I do this already. But then you help out the other people that it's a challenge for, who they're just kind of trying to grow and set that routine up. Other ones are like, damn, I can't do this. And then that's where you get the support from people that are more experienced and used to doing that sort of routine.
Yeah, absolutely. You said the challenges every week. Are you talking about the action of the week? Yeah, that's one of my favorite just features of the community. Just for anyone listening, the action of the week is just an action that one of the leaders puts out every week, and it could be related to the different pillars, whether that's faith or fitness, just overall self-development. And it's one small action for the members to take during the week that will just sharpen them and overall help them become a better man. But I love that one too. And, to your point, as you were saying, like, it's helped you consistently take the smaller steps towards the bigger goals. We have a saying inside of Elevate called, and it's action is everything. And we obviously want to get to the bigger goals, but to get there, we have to consistently take the smaller steps. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, but for me, hitting the bigger goals, it's been consistently taking those steps and seeing everyone else in the community consistently take the steps day in and day out, the smaller ones. When we don't really feel like we want to hit the gym, when we're like in, let's say, March of the new year, that's when most people start to kind of fall off their new year goals a couple months in. But when we're kind of getting tired of doing the smaller things every day, we can look inside the community and see that everyone else is still going strong, working towards those goals. We're like, all right, everyone else is doing it. Let's get back on the horse. Got to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, on those days where you're tired, and there's always going to be those days where you don't. It's not just with the workouts. You don't want to do the responsibilities that you have to do for your home life. You don't want to do your laundry for the week. You don't want to cook and prep your meals to stay true to your diet. And for me, it would be, oh, I'm tired, I'm not going to go to the gym. And then I see someone like Austin who deals with his medical issues, and he's out there ripping 5 wheels on a video at 6:30 a.m. And I'm like, how lazy can I be? Get your butt up and get to the gym and get it done today. And that's the type of stuff that's on there every single day. So when you need that motivation, just click on the app, go in there, see what people are doing, and be like, all right, they're doing it, I better get up and do this myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that just goes to show just how important your standard of life is. And the standard of life comes from, that quote, you are the 5 people that you spend the most time around. Whoever you surround yourself with, that is your standard of life that you look to. And when you surround yourself with the men inside of Elevate who are consistently taking action, who are working towards goals constantly, your standard gets, no pun intended, but it gets elevated. And, then all of a sudden when it's 8, 9 a.m. and you're sleeping in, you kind of start to feel bad about it. Or when you're not working towards your goals and you're skipping those workouts, like, you feel bad about it. That standard of life just ultimately holds you accountable and just forges you into a better man day in and day out.
Yeah, I feel like in life, creating habits and breaking habits are two of the hardest things to do. Yeah. But if we want to become better people overall, it's important. Okay, what habits are holding me back? We got to break those. What habits do I need to take on and make my own to make me a better person? And the more you work at building habits, the easier it gets over time. So yeah, when we're just starting out, we need someone to hold our hands. We need someone to lean on. I mean, maybe there's an outlier here or there, people that are just, super high achievers and can do it. But at some point they started on that journey and they had someone give them a boost or motivate them to move forward. And it's practice makes perfect, over and over, little habits, then you fall off. Nobody grows in a straight line upward. It's up a little bit down, up a little bit down. But as long as that trajectory is upward, then you're good. We got to give ourselves grace. We're going to fail. We're going to make mistakes, and it's jumping back up. And it's much easier to do that with people to support you, people that have been through it before to help you and give you tips and pointers, and people that you respect. So that's where the community comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. You said that it's not just a straight line. It's not at all. Totally agree with that. And when you go up, it's like you said, it's up and back down a little bit, up and back down. And when you're working towards things alone, working towards your goals alone, and it can be so easy to, when you're in the works, when you're in the game playing and working towards those goals, when you go a little bit down on that down slope, it's so easy to just look at that down slope and just be like, all right, well, it's not going well at all, and just get in your head about things, and then just continue to go down and just completely fall off altogether. And when working towards these goals, there's a bunch of little valleys that you go in. So it's so important to have that community around you when you're in those smaller downslopes and just the full journey towards that whatever goal you're working toward. Because they help you get out of those smaller valleys and just keep going, allow you to stay consistent.
I would say that's been the biggest part that I can see of my growth over the past 2 years, call it. And Elevate's been a big part of it. It's where I take steps back, but I don't stay in that hole anymore. You trip, you fall in that hole, but I don't stay in it anymore. It's right back out and right back on the path. But that's taken intention. It's taken practice and true focus on doing that sort of thing, because nobody's perfect. We're all going to face those challenges and those setbacks. But the real mark of a man and our character is, how do we deal with those setbacks? Do we get back up and do we make changes and do we do better, or do we sit down there and feel sorry for ourselves and wallow in shame? Which, not to knock anyone that does that, because that is the natural human tendency, to sit there, feel ashamed, and not get back up and start punching again. But to really be the best that we can be, you got to get up, you got to get off the mat, and you got to get hustling after it again.
Absolutely. And that is just so much easier to do when you have a community of 150 plus men in the corner of your ring chanting for you, rooting for you, wanting the best for you. So absolutely, brother. Man, so just you gave us a little bit about your experience so far in the community. Now I'm curious as to your experience at the first event that you came to, at the House of Steel, the last event of 2023. Personally, my favorite, but I'm pretty biased because I plan the events. And personally, I think they get better each event. But dude, you mentioned at the beginning of this that you're a person who has trouble committing a little bit at times. And so I just kind of wanted you to walk us through the emotions of, before you decided to come to the event, when you bought the ticket, and then, leading up to day one, actually meeting these guys in person.
It's interesting because when I say I'm notorious for being non-committal, I'm a big music guy, big metal guy. Listen to my worship music too, across the board. But I love rock, classic rock, Metallica, AC/DC, as does my cousin. So my cousin always wants to go to concerts, and he's asking me to go to concerts. Hey, so-and-so's coming to town 5 months from now. I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure. He's like, yeah, but we got to get tickets. And he busts my chops all the time about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to commit to it. Even, a $20 lawn seat somewhere 6 months from now, it's no commitment whatsoever, but I still just kind of hold back. And there was just something about the House of Steel where I felt called to commit and attend and go to it. And I'm not sure what it is, but it was like the first day when you sent the link out, I clicked on it. I told my wife, I go, one, it's not expensive. Two, I got to do this. Like, I need to get out there and do this and go see these dudes in person and go feel it out. And I still, like I said, I had a good feel for the way guys were, and I had great experience in the Bible studies and on the chats, but it's a different animal going to meet people in person. That said, I wasn't nervous at all going. And it's kind of funny. The one mistake I made is I booked a hotel room right away when I purchased the ticket for House of Steel. And I didn't wait. Like, I didn't know everyone was going to share Airbnb.
Right.
So by the time it was done, I was like, all right, I'll stay at the hotel. But I mean, that hotel was a totally different story that maybe we don't need to get into. I picked the wrong hotel. So that's all user error. That's my bad. But when I got there, it was, my host was Austin. And he said, and I drove there from Chicago. He asked if I could go to the airport because there were two people that were coming in at the same time. They needed to be picked up, and he asked if I could pick them up. I was like, sure. I'd never met him before, and never talked to him either. Maybe seen him on the Bible studies, but hadn't really interacted a whole lot. So I was sitting at a gas station outside of the Cleveland airport for about 25 minutes, just waiting for a call from someone I had never talked to on the phone. And I was texting my wife, and I'm like, how strange is this? I'm just sitting in the car waiting at a random gas station to pick up two dudes I've never met before at the airport to go meet another 13 dudes that I'd never met in person before and spend the weekend with. Right? Like, it does. It sounds kind of crazy from that end, but it was such an amazing weekend. Like, it was so cool from the second I walked in there. Yeah, you're kind of nervous walking in because you have never met these people, but you're just talking, you're shaking hands, and there wasn't a single person there that I didn't feel welcome going and shaking hands with, saying, hey, I'm Tony, and saying hi, then putting real bodies in person with the names that I had seen over Zooms, that I had talked to over Zooms, or even just, had followed them on Twitter and seen the tweets they're doing. It was a really good experience. There was so much good that happened that weekend. It was so cool.
Man, yeah, that is so cool. I hear that a lot from guys. Just you told your experience, just a little bit different. Sitting at the gas station, waiting for guys that you never met. There's obviously a little bit of nerves there, like you're meeting guys from the internet in person, and it's just it's an odd dynamic. But I mean, first time meeting these guys in person, you walk into the House of Steel, like I hear a lot from the members who come to the events that it just feels like you've known these guys for years, like they're just your brothers. Like, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, there were similarities to all of us but not one single thing. It's not like it's this linear group of men, like we're off an assembly line. It's all different types of people, but I think one big component that brings everyone together is that faith aspect. Um, Faith, the goals that we have for self-improvement, um, commitments to being people of character. I think when you're around people of character, one, it pushes you to be a better person. Yeah, I mean, you had touched on it earlier, but you can sense that and you just feel it when you're there. And I think it also speaks to the guys, you know, that just the how what good people they are and what cool dudes. I mean, for me especially, like one of the really fun things, like I got there and people were like, wow, I didn't know you were so tall. Like you can't tell how tall, you can't tell someone, you can't see 6'5" over a Zoom, right? And that was one of the things. But even with you, Paden, I'm like, damn, you're more swole than I thought over Zoom. Like,
oh man,
and
I
it was
appreciate
fun.
you,
That
man.
part of it was fun. But there's no one there. It's just the vibe was great. So no one's there with the sourpuss look on their face, like, oh, hard and heavy. I mean, I know you wanted to pull more weight than anyone else there on the deadlifts. I know Matt did. I know, you know, JR was wanted to show off his gym and everything else, but no one was there with that sort of super. It was competitive, but it wasn't a I'm gonna kick your butt, I'm angry, look how tough I am sort of environment. It was a let's compete the best we can and let's hype each other up and really get after it. It was so cool. I mean, for me, I knew I wasn't going to pull 5 wheels. I hadn't deadlifted in 5 months when I got there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the goal was I had never really deadlifted heavy anyways. When I was doing heavy lifting, playing football in college, we were doing power cleans and clean and jerk and that sort of stuff. We just didn't deadlift. So I wanted to get 315 and set a new personal record. So there was me and you know one of our other members, Jeff. We were together, and we knew where our weight was going to kind of be. So I was videoing Jeff's deadlifts. He was videoing mine, and the coolest part is I can hear Jeff clearly like yelling and screaming when I'm going for my PR, having my back and getting after it. And that was the best experience because when I go work out, I work out at LA Fitness and put my headphones in and it's, you know, focus, get after it. I'm not working out with anyone. Now I'm starting to become friends with people probably because of my experience at the House of Steel. But being there with everyone yelling and screaming, just man, it gets you so hyped, and you're gonna add weight to any lift that you're doing when you have all of that support and that motivation. It was so cool. Like it was a unique experience, something I hadn't experienced in probably 20 plus years, and it was just really awesome. It was so much fun. Absolutely. And that was only part of it. There's so much more that went on that weekend to connect and get to know everyone. And by the time you leave, it's like, wow, here's my friends that I've had for 15 years. You feel like 100%. You know, that was the vibe.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that here in just a second. But going back to just kind of that energy that you were describing, and just the competitive feel, like, you know, I think that goes back to just how we interact in the community overall. It's constantly a competition, and in a good way. You mentioned that it never felt like we were trying to compete against each other in a bad way. You know, we never brought our egos into it. Like, I'm going to deadlift more than you. Like,
yes.
And JR, you mentioned it. He's the owner of the House of Steel. For anyone listening, he started it a couple years back. But you mentioned that he was never going to try to show off like he's the gym owner. Like we never let our egos get in the way. And inside the community itself, you know, outside of the event, we constantly compete in the community, but in a good way. We understand that when we compete against each other, it's truly sharpening us, and we're competing to forge each other to be better, and so that we can compete against the rest of the world and the enemy overall. We got to constantly forge each other. So I just wanted to highlight that, and just the fact that we do this in the community day in and day out, and then we bring the same intention to the events. And also, on the other side of that, you know, you mentioned like you left the the event feeling like you had friends for 15 plus years. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just with that vulnerability, that safe space, how every guy in the community understands and leads with that. And inside of Elevate itself, inside the community, like we are constantly being vulnerable, sharing our struggles, helping each other, forging each other. And then when we get together in person, like it's the exact same vibe. We bring the same intention to it. So I think I wanted to highlight why that is. But I mean, I feel the same way, dude. After every single event, I feel like I left with brothers that I have for life. It's truly incredible.
It was awesome. And to what you were just saying there, Paden, our keynote speakers were two true badasses, and they were vulnerable. They were open, and that really sets the tone for everyone else. When you have two of the toughest dudes there being totally open and sharing their stories and their struggles with a group of people, some of which they know, some they don't know whatsoever, I mean, that makes a difference. That's meaningful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Most, like we were talking about earlier, most men won't want to get vulnerable because, I mean, it's super uncomfortable, especially for us men. But, vulnerability, those hard conversations, that's where the true growth occurs. It really is. And so I love that you mentioned the two keynote speakers, Gabe Plugaz and then JR, like I already mentioned, both two incredible guys, and the speeches were just incredible. But man, you've already mentioned, the deadlift competition itself, the keynote speeches. I want to know what your favorite part of the event was overall. What's your favorite memory?
So this is kind of selfish, but when I led the last prayer of the trip
Yes.
at the House of Steel, and I absolutely was not going to do it. Matt put me on the spot, pointed directly at me, and he has said his goal was to get everyone to pray over the group at some point. Absolutely. And I did, and then it became a video, an Elevate video, which is super cool. Like, yeah, it's nice to see yourself there. But the beauty of it is that was the reason I felt comfortable doing it. Is one, we've talked about how you felt like you could be vulnerable with this group for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
Two, when we went, and I talked about this before, but we went out to a bar the first night to get dinner, and this place was packed. People were watching football. I think it was Thursday Night Football was on. It was jam-packed, and you got a bunch of alpha males, big dudes, I think 15 of us sitting around the table, and there we are, holding hands, praying over the meal. And this bar is kind of looking at us like, wait, what's going on here? And it was so impactful. And then the next step is now we're at home, and with my wife and my three daughters, we're sitting around our dinner table praying over it. And say, traditionally we're always praying before our meals, but it was the traditional, we thank the Lord for what we got. Now let's eat it while it's hot, or that right. Sort of thing.
We're just kind of checking the box.
A normal prayer.
Right.
But now we are holding hands and letting my daughters are 12, 7, and 5, and they're getting the chance to lead us in prayer, express themselves from their hearts instead of just reciting words that they've memorized. And it's awesome. It's just a good experience.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Going back to the moment in the restaurant, in the bar, where, just a bunch of buff dudes holding hands, saying prayer, giving blessings. Man, that truly just goes to show who we are as a community. Like, we are different from the rest of the world. We stand out, and we're supposed to be. With faith at the forefront of our community, trying to grow closer to God each and every day. We're supposed to live like Jesus. We're supposed to stand out and be the light of the world. So, likewise with you, like, that was one of my favorite moments from the event, just because I feel like it truly encapsulated who we are as a community. We stand out. And then also with what you said, just about what you carried home with you, just the intentionality in the prayer. I feel like every guy carries home something different from the event. And all of it's great things. But for you, I love that you were able to bring home that intentionality in prayer. And just share that with your family and implement that into your lives.
Oh yeah, my cup was overfilled when I was leaving, and it was helpful. Austin pulled me aside on that last evening when I was talking to him. And I'm like, I am so joyful. I'm so like hyped. This is so great. And he's like, listen, that's awesome, and I love that for you. Just know, a week from now, that super hype endorphin feeling is going to fade a little bit. So you are going to have to actively continue it. So that's kind of what I did. Now I'll tell you, I was up that Sunday morning. I was up at, I think, 3:45 on the road back to Chicago, cranking out Carrie Underwood's station on the satellite because she does Sunday Salvation Sunday or whatever. It's all just cool worship music and country music. Driving through, saw 4 different rainbows along that ride home, which was crazy. Never thought I'd see it. Got home in time to drive my oldest to her weekly religious education, and just crushed the day, like starting out, and continued on and so forth. And that's what it's all about, like getting on that high vibe and being glorifying God through our behaviors and who we are. That is a huge focus of mine. Go out there and represent God and represent the greatness that comes with following his lead.
Absolutely.
That is, to me, that's what it's all about. And seeing it manifest in my girls, especially, is so important to me. Probably the most important thing in my life right now.
Yeah, that's so powerful, dude. And it's great to hear that, you came to this event, you got your cup filled, and you were able to just live with intentionality with the group. I do it too. Every time I leave, I come home with a different level of intention, and just my cup is filled. But it's so great to hear that you were able to bring that home and then just share that with your daughters as well, and just help them live out that next level of intention. I hear that from a lot of members as well. They come home and then they feel more inspired to show those in their community or those that are closest to them, what it's all about, to live with that intentionality, to live with just that fire for God, that passion, whether it be, a close friend for you, your daughters and your family, whoever. So, man, that is truly great to hear.
That's what the group helps out with after the fact as well, though. So it doesn't just become your quick dopamine fix, like Facebook, and you're scrolling the way people do, where it's, you feel good for 3 days, you eat totally clean for 4 days, 5 days, then you get to Friday, you drink 12 beers and you eat a bunch of McDonald's and Burger King, then you're back to square one. Now, granted, you can make those mistakes and hopefully you get out of it, but having the group get back into the Bible study on Wednesday, it's like, man, I just saw you guys. Like, here we go. And then it's just that natural follow through to continue riding that wave and that feeling. And what ends up happening, in my opinion, and my experience, is, okay, so maybe here's where I was in my journey and my growth before House of Steel. When I was done with it, I was here, but baseline probably here. So my baseline was here before. Now my baseline's here. So I'm gonna you're gonna waver on your way up, but I will not get back below here, because now I'm back engaging in at least one of 3 Bible studies every week, getting on the chats, good mornings every morning, being on Twitter, just interacting with guys, especially after House of Steel, interacting with some of the guys who I was not interacting with before, and pulling stuff off of that. Like, I didn't know Grant lives here on the north side of Chicago, but I hadn't been in contact or interacting with him much at all before House of Steel. but now we are in contact. Now we haven't done anything here in person yet, but it's definitely in the cards to get some workouts in, start doing some hard things together, and go after it. So that's just another continuation of how it goes. So keep adding those steps to your growth. So your baseline, your floor is up here now, whereas your floor was here. So each time you get a chance to do these activities, engage in these challenges and overcome the challenges, you just keep raising that floor up and up and up, and getting better as a person.
Yeah, 100%. And I like that you mentioned about the follow through after the event, because I feel like I've been to several conferences in my own time, just in the growth space, self development space, and with you start off with your baseline here, and then you go to these conferences, and when there's no follow through after, you just essentially fall back to where you were before. You get this high from the conferences, you learn all these things, and you have potential to go somewhere, but without follow through, you just go right back down to baseline. So I love that you mentioned that, because you go to one of our events, you grow, you live with intentionality, you get the high, and then you come back to Elevate. We have the accountability, we have the continuous calls and Bible studies and channels, and then your baseline, it raises. You don't fall back down to where you were, but you continue to live out what you learned at the events.
Yeah, the other part of that is I brought it home, as we talked about, with my family, but to my friends as well. Yeah, I have a ton of friends, but not ones that are on the same, for the most part, the same journey, the same exact journey of faith and fitness as it goes. But there's a handful of friends with the workouts, and just I can see how my engagement with them has changed from. I mean, it's bringing it all together. So not just the House of Steel, not just Discord, but the growth journey as a whole. Last Sunday morning. Generally, Sunday morning is a slower morning because we have our fun on Saturdays around here.
Yeah.
But last week, I got together with two of my good friends. We hit the gym at 11 o'clock before the football games. Got a good lift. I mean, these two guys are savages. I mean, my buddy Kevin's a heavy duty lifter. And then we got lunch afterwards, and that was something that was just, it wasn't something that we normally do. And I sat and had lunch with my friend, and we talked about some of the challenges he's facing. And he's in a space right now where he's looking for something. He's looking for that support that we've talked about. He's looking for that community of men to be able to lean on for some of the challenges that he's facing in life, and someone who is like-minded, someone who is trying to improve, someone that, a person of character. And it's kind of hard to find that sort of thing these days, for sure. Yeah. But to the point, House of Steel, our action item of the week, our Bible studies, the interacting, and then getting to the gym and doing the hard things that we're supposed to has all helped go in that direction. So he just naturally looked to me as someone to help him kind of figure out, how do I get to the point where I can deal with these, where I can find that community. So and that feels good. It feels good to be there for people.
It does, man. It does. And I've experienced the same thing since I've been in Elevate. And I think it just goes back to just having your own cup filled and having yourself sharpened to be able to handle those struggles from other men and be able to pour into them as well. Whether that, your cup gets filled from the event or just being inside the community itself. Both of those things allow you to be able to pour into those around you. And then it's just a trickle effect from there. You pour into them, same thing happens to them. They get built up, and then the process repeats. They get to pour into others. So it's just a constant positive butterfly effect, which is I think it's just a work from God. So that's great to hear, man.
Yeah, it all comes together. Like this little saying that I don't know, it popped into my head 2 weeks ago, and that I've really been hammering home with myself and, and talking to my friends about it too, is focus plus intensity equals excellence. And what I've realized is some of the things I've done in life, or when things aren't working out, generally I'm lacking that focus and that intensity. And that is kind of like, that is what we're about. It's being intentional. It's being present, not avoiding some of the pitfalls or overcoming the pitfalls and challenges that today's world puts in front of us of, it's go, 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 go. And I'm not saying don't be aggressive and go and work hard, but don't just do to do. Be focused and be intense. And that's when you're going to see results. And that's what our group is about. That's what we're doing. Find what your goal is. Find where you want to go and get there. And it's not just workouts. It's not just faith. It's not just your relationships in life. It's not your school that you're going to and the grades. It is about everything that we're dealing with. Find your goal, focus, have the intensity, and friggin' get there. Like, that's what this is about. That's what we're going after. I love it. Like, that's the vibe I'm riding right now.
No doubt, dude. I feel that as well. It's definitely the energy inside the community. So I love that you say that. And that's such a sick quote, man. I'm going to quote that from Tony Dolzal. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Focus plus intensity equals excellence.
Heck yeah, brother.
Telling my daughters that too now. It came because we can't aim for perfection. Nobody's perfect. Jesus was perfect. That's the only one, right? Nobody's perfect. And when you aim for perfection, you're going to come up short. You're absolutely going to come up short. What we should be going towards is excellence. And to get there, focus and intensity.
Absolutely, brother. I love that. Dude, to finish this off here, I've got one more bigger question about the event, and then just 4 kind of rapid fire questions after that, just about the community overall. They're just quick hitting questions. But last question about the event, and you mentioned it earlier, but you mentioned that prayer at the end. Dude, it was so powerful, and I think it just perfectly wrapped up the event. Just everything in your prayer that you said. There's a clip about it, like you mentioned. If y'all haven't seen it, we'll link it below. It's such a powerful prayer, man. Tell me about that. What was going through your head in that moment? How were you feeling, etc.
It was the Holy Spirit. I had nothing to do with it. I was totally led by the Holy Spirit. It's almost like in the movie Old School, where Will Ferrell is doing the test and he's like, "Oh, I blacked out for a minute," and he aced the test.
Yeah,
that's how it was. There were no thoughts going through my head. What's funny is when I watched the video for the first time, I was like, "Man, what a good video. That's a great prayer." And then I was like, "Oh, wait, that's me." I swear, that's a true story.
Man.
So it was just the culmination of all the great things that happened that weekend, all the connection, the brotherhood, the spirituality, the prayers that we did, the self-reflection, the journaling, the butt whoopings we took. Now, I watched the butt whoopings in jiu-jitsu, but then, the workout that JR put us through, like, holy cow. That prayer was the culmination of all of it. That's what it was. So I swear when I say I wasn't thinking anything, it was the Holy Spirit guiding me through my mouth and putting it out there.
Man, that's powerful. The Holy Spirit guiding you. I think that's what we all reach for in the community. I think that's the true definition of what it means to walk with God. Sometimes you don't even remember what you said in a prayer because God just took over and you gave it all to Him. That's the goal. You truly give your life to Him, give it over to Him, and let Him lead you. And look where it turns out. This is a perfect example of it. You allowed God to take over that prayer, and it gave us just this powerful prayer to encapsulate the event and just finish it off. So, man, that's powerful, and I appreciate you sharing.
Well, thank you. And frankly, I was so blessed to be given that opportunity at that moment. It was just a true blessing to be able to do it.
Heck yeah, man. God had prepped your heart for that one, so it was definitely
Oh,
worth it
yeah.
in that moment. Absolutely. So to finish us off here, man, last question I have for you for this interview. If someone is on the fence about joining Elevate, what would you say to them?
Get started now. You won't be sorry. Lean on all the opportunities for to help you with whatever you are seeking, however you are trying to grow, whatever is missing from your journey. You can find it. Lean on Paden, lean on Matt, lean on Austin, lean on your intro interview with whichever member it is, and they can help you. And by the way, if you are not started on your journey, this is by far the best way to do it, because you have people here who are caring, who are understanding. Everyone started a journey at some point in our lives. We started a journey. So no matter where we are on it, there was a starting point. So this is the place that will help you get started. You won't be sorry.
Absolutely. Hey, y'all heard the man. If you're looking to grow, if you're looking to start your, just overall self-development journey or faith journey, there's a community of men, 150 plus men who are looking to just welcome you with open arms and help you grow to be the man that you're looking to be. So if y'all are on the fence about it, we want you in here. Please join. We'd love to have you a part of this community.